Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, all glories to Śrīla Prabhupada, and welcome to the Sunday morning Srimad Bhagavatam reading and discussion headed up by our main speaker, Yashodanandana Prabhu, who for me is more than qualified to present these programs with an authentic understanding. Oh, look what I did. I'm going to have to put my T-lock on after Yashoda. I was doing an email. So after I finish, look at how beautiful Ram Raghava's T-lock is, and yours. And I just noticed that on the screen. I don't have my T-lock on. Anyway, I apologize for that. But after I finish our opening, I'll go get my tilak, no problem. It's not the end of the world. To commit mistakes. Oh, Ruchisha, look at her nice tilak too. This is Vaishnava dress, shaved head. Look at Ram Raghava's shaved head. Mine's growing in slightly. I'm going to shave it. The people that keep long hair, that's because they want to. But Prabhupada preferred that we would shave our heads. And when you do that, actually, it's following the orders of our spiritual master. I see so many people, especially in the other group, the former movement of his, the ISKCON group, they keep long hair. Many of the sannyasis, they keep long hair, they keep the beards, they wear their karmi clothes, and even if they're sannyas, they break all the rules because they think they're entitlement. But this is a mistake. And it's actually an expose of their situation for us to all understand that some people, even though they dress in the garb of a devotee, they're imposters. They're fakes. Actually, we call them sahajya. That means they're pretending, posing, posturing as spiritually advanced, but they're not. I just wrote a note to a fellow that sends me pictures every day of deities. Yashodanandana. It's a guy from Brampton here. And I've been asking him questions. I know who he is. I can't remember his name, but he served with the Toronto Temple. He's been around for a long time. It's 30, 40 years. And the other day he sent me a picture of Durga. Now, I'm looking at the picture, I'm going, why are you sending me a picture of Durga? Prabhupada never promoted that type of worship in any of our temples. Nothing. It started with Panchatattva and Prabhupada photo in the temple in Hamilton. That's all we had, and it worked just fine. So I asked the person, I said, by the way, I know who he is. I said to him, why did you send me that picture? No answer. And I said, by the way, could you maybe tell me who your guru is? I want to know. And it took about 2 or 3 days for him to give me an answer. I got the answer today. So he says, it's Gopal Krishna. Oh. So Gopal Krishna is your guru, and then he's got some other Sahajya Mayavadi guru. So he's got 2 gurus now. He's got Gopal, who's gone away, and he's got some other guy. And I wrote him back, I said, would you know what Gopal did? He goes, he hasn't responded yet. I said, he put up a Vyāsasan bigger than Prabhupada's in the temple room and sat on it and was not chastised by anybody for offending his spiritual master in public display of impotence. Oh, I can't wait till it. And I wanted to tell him, by the way, you are a co-conspirator to this bogus guru situation. In other words, you're supporting this person who is offending our spiritual master, and you are also sharing in that karma. Don't do it. And by the way, don't send me any more photos. I don't want them. And delete me, block me, because all you're doing is filling my cache with memory I don't have, and I don't need it. Go away. You're not doing anything for me, and I'm not doing anything for you. I asked him, I sent him multiple times, Yashodanandana, invitations to our classes, and does he come? No. Why? Why don't you come? Why don't you listen to the philosophy as we present it and get an understanding properly of Guru Tattva, of Vani incarnation, of proper relationship with Prabhupada disciples, how to work with them? Why don't you do it? Because you don't want to. That's why. Is that not the fact of the matter? People do what they want. And if they don't want to, look, there are lots of choices. Raghunath Bhatta, as you know, and it's good to see your face there. You look fantastic, by the way. Thank you. Well, welcome, by the way. It's good to see you. And please keep coming. I'll make sure you speak. You know, there's lots of choices for people to follow bogus groups. There's all kinds of groups. Even in our group, there are people that are creating other groups. Oh, I want to get initiated. want to get another group, and I'm going to go out, and I don't need to be a part of your group. Well, we're publishing books. We're distributing books. We're engaged in producing classes. We're launching into the internet. We're doing all kinds of things, and we need your help. Look at how nice. I sent a picture of Ram Raghava's studio to a few people, by the way, Ram Raghava. I sent a picture to a few of my friends that I converse with to see how you are taking the time and your money to create that studio to facilitate what we're doing. And it's fantastic. And it's something to be acknowledged and appreciated. You're working as a team player. So that's the first section of this program. Now, I wanted to go to another topic, which is what I experienced today on my japa walk. It was a glorious japa walk after the Nijal Ekadasi yesterday, Yashodanandana. I followed it strictly, by the way, just so all of you know. I made sure. I was struggling in a sense, but I said to myself, you can do this. You're not that weak. And fortunately, I made it through for the whole time and didn't break any of the rules, let's say. But at any rate, I went out on a japa walk. I finished my rounds this morning already, at least up to a certain level of 17. You know, I'm going to keep chanting. I'm getting used to it, trying to remember how Prabhupada conducted himself. He was always chanting. It wasn't that he just chanted 16 rounds and that was it. No, I think it's something that we have to have it as a habit, that when we do things in a habit of focusing on Krishna, it means even if you're mumbling the name or whatever, it's better than walking around like people that are completely spaced out on the streets. And that's all I see in the city of Hamilton, of 700,000 spaced out idiots. Well, that's kind of strong, I guess, for Vishvakarma to say that. Well, okay, not idiots. Let's take that away. Let's say conditioned souls that have no idea of what the purpose of life is. And what are they doing? Most of the people are walking dogs. That's what they are. At least most of the people, when you go out on the street and you chant, what do? You walk down the street and every 2 or 3 minutes, somebody walks by with 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 dogs. And you know what I do? I just, Raghunath Bhatta, I move off the sidewalk into the road for fear that the dog may bite me. Oh, so, well, my dog's friendly. But what if your dog thinks that I'm a demon or a threat to your master? He might bite me, and then I have to go get needles and this and that. So I just stay away from these people. But it's interesting to note that this society, they're more interested in their dogs and than in themselves. It's a dog society, dog consciousness. And what do you see, Raghunath Bhatta, every time you see that person walk by? He's carrying a little bag, right? It's incorrigible. He's carrying a bag. This is the human being, got an opportunity to develop himself in a spiritual way and go back to home, back to Godhead, to be in this pastimes of the Supreme Lord, and yet He has no interest in spiritual life, and he's walking the dog. And this brings me to the story. So we were on a walk. I've told this story a few times, but it's memorable to me and it's vivid in my mind, that I arranged when Prabhupada came to Toronto to take Prabhupada to all the key spots in the city. Because wherever the pure devotee walks, that sanctifies the city, wherever he walks. So I took Prabhupada, I drove him, I was the driver. I drove him down to the Parliament buildings. And I had him circumambulate the Ontario legislation. Yes, circumambulate. And he walked around and he had a cane and he made comments about the statues and like that. And then I took him to Don Valley Parkway. And we were in the parkway. And we went down. There's great pictures of it. And we're walking along. And I've told this story again, but it's very vivid in my mind because it reminded me of this morning, seeing these people walking around with a little bag of dog doo-doo. And Prabhupada was walking along. There was a group of us, about 20 of us. I let everybody come on the walk because in other places, they were restricting that. Oh, you can't come because you're not such and such sannyasi or president or Sankirtan leader. I said, as long as you get your own car, you can come down and we're going to go to Don Valley Parkway. Everybody can come and have the association of Śrīla Prabhupada on his morning walk, which was a great victory for many people. Hey, Mother Ruchisha, think about it. Everywhere else you went, they wouldn't, oh, you can't come, you're not qualified. I thought, we're going to change that rule. The rule is you're qualified. It's just you get your own car because we didn't have all those cars. I was borrowing a car from one of our friends and driving Prabhupada in the car. So we get there, we're walking along, and he has his cane. And there's a regular small conversation and people are asking questions. And then he stopped underneath the bridge. You know the big bridge there at Bloor Street? You know, where it goes over. He stopped there and there was a sign posted on the steel rig that was holding up the bridge, and it said "Stoop and Scoop," and it was the new idea back then in 1966 that people should go out and when they walk their dog, they should pick up the dog stool, not leave it on the ground. Before, can you imagine? Before they used to go out, everybody would leave the dog stool everywhere. You walk along, you walk in dog stool. So they finally figured out, don't do that. And he took his cane and he pointed it up. Still can see it. It's vivid. It's actually one of the most vivid recollections in my life. He took the thing and he pointed his cane at everybody. He stopped and goes, oh, this is the difference between us and them. And I looked at the sign and you see the person with the little scooper. And they're going, stoop and scoop. They are worshiping DOG, and we are worshiping God, God, not dog. This is the mentality of the modern world. They're in the dog consciousness of life. And it's very difficult to deal with it because people are at such a low level. And we've been talking about it quite a bit through our programs, that people have no idea of the purpose of life. And they, instead of worshiping God, they worship dog. There is, just like heat and light accompany fire. Heat and light accompany fire. They're concomitant. You can't have fire without heat and light. So in the same way, the spirit soul is constitutionally a servant, but when you serve Maya, you're serving dog society. MAGA, Make America Great. All of this madness based on socialism, on nationalism, on false identity with oneself as body and not the soul. This is dog society. And this is the problem that we have. And then just on a final note, the society that Prabhupada created, the ISKCON group, in America now has totally failed. Totally failed. It's become Hinduized, period. Not Krishna conscious. It's Hinduized. And when one of my colleagues went to the Toronto temple the other day, we have a $40 million temple there, downtown Toronto. $40 million. And what do? They have the deity doors closed, they have the tables up, and they're doing weddings. And there are no devotees there. There's no receptionist. It is absolutely pathetic. And people could say, well, how could you say that? Because that's the result. Judge an action by its result. And it doesn't matter where you go, Ram Raghava, that's what you'll find. Nobody goes to the morning programs. Nobody attends the classes. Nobody goes to the kirtans, but they're there for prasadam, their so-called prasadam, a free meal at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's what this society has become. Zero. Prabhupada has been eliminated out of it, and especially demonstrated by the fact that they all distribute. Even I've heard that they're also distributing edited books in ISKCON Bangalore. Now, I could be corrected on that, but I had a devotee from Bangalore tell me that they sell those books as well. What is the point? What is the point of this? It demonstrates the fact that there is a total misunderstanding amongst the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord on what Prabhupada wanted and what he didn't want. And this is going on in the name of Chaitanya Vaishnavism. Sad, but true. But here, with our Prabhupada Disciples Association, we have a wonderful group here, by the way. So nice. And thank you all for attending on time. I know that we have people on the YouTube channel that are joining us now to make the numbers greater than it appears on the screen. But at the same time, we want to thank you all for being a part of this. We are interested in quality people that are sincerely committed to Prabhupada's mission and to work with us. Get it clear. We want people to work with us. If you're not working with us, go work with somebody else. Make up your own organization. Just go. That's okay. That's your right. But with people that are working with us, we guarantee you that you will be on a mission that will take you back to home, back to Godhead. All glories to the Sankirtan movement of Srila Prabhupada and his bona fide disciples at the Prabhupada Disciples Association and the Hare Krishna Society. Okay, that's enough. Let's move forward with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava by Srila Prabhupada, and then we'll have a reading and discussion with Yashodanandana Prabhu. All glories to the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And you can say that out loud. Ki Jai. Go ahead, don't be shy.
Say. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Vihari. Jaya Radha Punya Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Samad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavindra ki jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giridhar ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Swami Ito Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamuna Mai ki jai. Tulasi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Swami Ito Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Yashoda, your mic.
Sorry about that. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya. Narayanam namaskritya. Naram cheva narottamam. Naram cheva narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyāsam. Devim Saraswatim Vyāsam Tato Jayam Mudirayat. Tato Jayam Mudirayat. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Śrīla Vyāsadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion. This reading is being conducted on the basis of the 1962 New Delhi edition. All synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. As we do every week, we will read a few selected verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, which explains the meaning and the benefit of hearing this powerful transcendental literature. Yadanudyasina yukta karma granti nibandhanam chindanti kovidastasya kona kuryat kataratim. Intelligent persons do cut off the internet of the knot of reactionary work by remembrance of the personality of Godhead. Therefore, who will not give attention to his message? Shushrushuhu shraddadhanasya vasudeva kataruchihi syan mahatsevaya vipra punyatirtha nishevanat. O the twice-born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all ranges of vice, a standard of great service is done, and as the result of such great service, affinity in the messages of Vasudeva is made possible. Shrinvatam svakata krishnaha punyashravana kirtanaha hridyantastohya badrani vidhunuti suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, does cleanse the desire for material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge for hearing his, Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashta prayesha vabhadrishu nityam bhagavata sevayam bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class or rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious in the heart of a candidate becomes destroyed almost to nil, and thus loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, comes into being an irrevocable fact. Tadarajastamo bhava kama lobhadayaschaye chete terana viddam stitam satve prasidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is fixed up in one's heart, at that time the effects of the nature's mode of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankerings, etc., do disappear from one's heart, and he becomes fixed up in a mode of goodness, which makes him completely happy. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayati. Thus, when one is positively fixed up in a mode of unalloyed goodness, the enlivened-minded man affected by contact of devotional service of the Lord can positively know scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Vidyate hridaya grantis chidyante sarvasamshaya shiyante chasya karmani drishta evatmanishwari. The knot of one's heart is thus pierced, and all misgivings are cut into pieces. The chain of fruitive actions are terminated along with the seeing of oneself, the dominating factor. We will proceed with our specific verse today. We are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 7, text number 3 and 4. Tasmin svashramaye yasu badari sandamandite asino paupasprisya pranidadyo manaswayam. Tasmin, in that ashrama, sva, own, ashrame, in the cottage, Vyāsadeva, badari, berry, sanda, trees, mandite, surrounded by, ashinopa, sitting, upasprisya, touching water, pranidadvau, concentrated, manaha, the mind, swayam, himself. Translation by Śrīla Prabhupada. In that place, Śrīla Vyāsadeva, in his own ashram, which was surrounded by trees of berries, sat down on meditation of mind after touching water for purification. Purport. Under instruction of his spiritual master, Śrīla Narada Muni, Vyāsadeva concentrated his mind in that nice and transcendentally situated place of meditation. Text number 4. Bhaktiyo Ganamanasi Samyak Paranite Mam Amale Apasyat Purusham Purnam Maya Chatadapashrayam. Bhakti, devotional service, yogena, by the process of linking up, manasi, upon the mind, samyak, perfectly, pranihiti, engage and fixed up, amale, without anything of manner, apasyat, saw, purusham, the personality of Godhead, purnam, absolute, mayam, energy, cha, also, tat, his, apashrayam, under full control. Translation by Śrīla Prabhupada. Thus he fixed up his mind perfectly engaged in the link-up process of devotional service without any tinge of material affection, and he saw the absolute personality of Godhead along with his external energy under full control. Purport. Perfect vision of the absolute truth is possible only by the linking process of devotional service. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, that one can perfectly realize the absolute truth personality of Godhead only by the process of devotional service, and one can enter into the kingdom of God by such perfect knowledge. Imperfect realization of the absolute by partial approach of impersonal Brahman or localized Paramatma does not permit anyone to enter into the kingdom of God. Sri Narada advised Śrīla Vyāsadeva to become absorbed in transcendental thinking of the personality of Godhead and his activities. Śrīla Vyāsadeva did not take any notice of the effulgence of Brahman because that is not absolute vision. The absolute vision is the personality of Godhead, as it is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Vasudeva Sarvamiti. In the Upanishads also it is confirmed that Vasudeva, the personality of Godhead, is covered by golden glowing Hiranmayana Pratarena, veil of impersonal Brahman. And when that curtain is removed by the mercy of the Lord, the real face of the Absolute is seen. The Absolute is mentioned here as the Purusha, or the person. The absolute personality of Godhead is mentioned in so many Vedic literatures. And in the Bhagavad Gita, the Purusha is confirmed. What happened here? The Purusha is confirmed as eternal and the original person. The absolute personality of Godhead is the perfect person. The supreme person has manifold energies, out of which the internal, external, and the marginal energies are specifically important. The energy mentioned here is the external energy, as it will be clear from the statements of her activities. The internal energy is there along with the absolute person, as the moonlight is seen along with the moon. The external energy is compared with darkness because she keeps the living entities in the darkness of ignorance. The word apashrayam suggests that this energy of the Lord has no inferior complex in comparison with the superior energy called by the name internal potency. The internal potency is also called Maya, but it is spiritual Maya, or energy exhibited in the absolute realm. When one is under the shelter of this internal potency, the darkness of material ignorance is at once dissipated. And even those who are Atmarama, or fixed up in trance, do also take shelter of this Maya, or internal energy. Devotional service, mentioned as Bhakti Yoga, is the function of the internal energy. As such, there is no place for the inferior energy or material energy, as much as there is no place for darkness in the effulgence of spiritual light. Such internal energy works even superior to the spiritual bliss attainable in the conception of impersonal Brahman. As it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, that such impersonal Brahman effulgence is also emanation from the absolute personality of God, Sri Krishna. The Parama Purusha cannot be anyone except Sri Krishna himself, as it will be explained in the later shlokas. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmiritam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namaham Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhakti Vedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasme Shigurave Namaham Bhagavad Bandhana Kadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadate Visheshatah Adadana Strinam Danteridam Yachi Punah Punah Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dulishyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavato Smyaham Sadadaso Asmi Sarabata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prista Sadakaromisvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This particular last verse that we've discussed has been commented upon by Srila Prabhupada many times. This is a very important verse because we see that Vyāsadeva, after receiving the visit of his spiritual master Narada Muni, Sri Narada Muni, is actually putting into action the instructions that he received. Narada Muni chastised him for not sufficiently describing the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As we have heard from the Bhagavatam itself, Vyāsadeva divided the Vedas, and the original one Veda, into 4 Vedas, compiled the Mahabharata, compiled the Puranas, but he was not satisfied. So Narada Muni advised him basically to concentrate on describing the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is what he's beginning to do here. Now, it's important, as Prabhupada described in the purport to this text number 4, that the ultimate realization, as described in the Bhagavad Gita, is Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Yesterday, during our class, we read some of the text from Bhagavad Gita chapter 7, text 19, where Lord Krishna himself describes that after many, many births, when one is fortunate, he comes to the realization, Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Bahunam Janmanamante, Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate, Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Now, why is this so important? First of all, let's read the exact translation. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Now, this is the knowledge that Srila Prabhupada has given. In the purport itself on page 391, Srila Prabhupada explains, when one is further advanced, he can understand that there are activities in the spiritual life and that these activities constitute devotional service. Realizing this, he becomes attached to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrenders to him. At such a time, one can understand that Lord Sri Krishna's mercy is everything, that he is the cause of all causes, and that this material manifestation is not independent from him. He realizes the material world to be a perverted reflection of spiritual variegatedness and realizes that in everything there is a relationship with the Supreme Lord Krishna. Thus he thinks of everything in relation to Vasudeva or Sri Krishna. Such a universal vision of Vyāsadeva precipitates one's full surrender to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna as the highest goal. Such surrender, great souls, are very rare. Now, this is very important. We see that Lord Krishna himself in the Bhagavad Gita, in many other places, is describing the same basic fundamental principles. On Wednesday night, we were describing how all around the world there are so many different conflicts, different wars, different skirmishes, different attacks by one nation to another group, one nation to another nation, one country against another country or several other countries. But the real way to attain transcendental peace is to surrender to three basic fundamental principles, as Lord Krishna describes in Bhagavad Gita chapter 5, text 29. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suridam sarvabhutanam yatvamam shantim richati. That so many great personalities, great sages, have achieved transcendental peace, shanti, by recognizing and practicing these three basic fundamental principles. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam, that the result of one's activities should all be meant to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Next, sarvaloka maheshwaram, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the owner of everything. Here's the actual translation. Śrīla Prabhupada explained, the sages, knowing me as the ultimate purpose of all sacrifices and austerities, the Supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attain peace from the pangs of material miseries. And the last point, Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwar suridam sarvabhutanam. What does that mean? To recognize that God or Krishna is the friend of all living entities. Now, this is very important. One has to reestablish his forgotten relationship with Krishna. So naturally, the question comes, how do we reestablish that relationship? How do we revive that relationship? It's not complicated. It's been described in many places in the Bhagavatam, in the Bhagavad Gita, in different Vedic scriptures. In the Vedas itself, there's a very interesting Upanishad called the Kali Santarana Upanishad, which is the history of the Mahamantra, how the Mahamantra came to this world. It's a conversation between Narada Muni and Lord Brahma, where Narada Muni is asking Lord Brahma, how will the living entities be delivered in this age of Kali Yuga? And Lord Brahma is explaining him by the chanting of this Mahamantra. Iti sodasakam nam nam kali kalmasha nasanam na tapparataroopeyaha sarvabedishu drishyate. These 16 names of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That this is the best means to counteract the negative influence of the age of Kali. Kali Kalmasha. Nasana means to destroy, to annihilate all the negative influence of Kali Yuga. Nata parataro upeyaha. There is no superior means of spiritual advancement than the chanting of these 16 names. And this is the essence of all the Vedas. Sarva Vedishu Drishyate. Because we see different practitioners of Vedic philosophies, impersonalists, manists, jnanis, yogis, so many others. They engage on so many different paths, jnana yoga, karma yoga, buddhi yoga, so many different yogas. But this bhakti yoga is based upon the fundamental present principle of Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. These chantings of these 16 names, that is the essence of all the Vedas. This is also confirmed by Śrīla Prabhupada in so many places in his books. Many times when Srila Prabhupada would give lectures, he would quote a verse from the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which explains that the age of Kali, Kaler dosha nidirajan astieko mahan gunaha, that this age of Kali, dosha nide, means it is an ocean of faults. There are so many difficulties in the age of Kali. Astieko mahan, but there is one great quality, mahan gunaha, kirtanadeva krishnasya mukta sangha parambraje, that simply by chanting the name of Krishna, immediately one will become free from the influence of the age. Okay, let's read the exact translation. My dear king, although Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, there is still one good quality about this age. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom. This is very important. We see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj, while explaining why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in this world, he says, Kali Yuge Yuga Dharma Namer Prachar, that in this age of Kali, the actual means of preaching is simply the Samkirtan, Namer Prachar, Tatilage Pita Varnat Chaitanya Pata. For this purpose, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in yellow color, golden color. This is a very important point because sometimes we see in India different practitioners of other denominations or different sampradayas. They object and they say, no, Lord Chaitanya is not the avatar, is not the Yuga avatar. But we see from the writings of Krishnadas Kaviraj, Śrīla Jiva Goswami, Śrīla Rupa Goswami, all the 6 Goswamis, Narottam Das Thakur, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Sripad Baladevi Bhushan, all these great acharyas, they have confirmed the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Yuga avatar. To deliver people, Kali Kali Nama Rupe Krishna avatar. Krishnadas Kaviraj also explained in this age of Kali Yuga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the name of Krishna is the direct incarnation of Krishna. And this is the amazing potency of Srila Prabhupada, that he came to deliver this transcendental name, to initiate the Samkirtan movement, to reestablish the transcendental teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world, to establish these teachings. Because this is a very important point. Because many people, they will say, well, Prabhupada is just Swami Maharaj. It was well known in India during Prabhupada's manifested presence that many of his contemporaries did not call him Prabhupada. They call him Swami Maharaj. It's a somewhat respectful title, but it's not really the proper title for Srila Prabhupada. The name Prabhupada is the proper title because he has fulfilled the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prior to Srila Prabhupada coming to America, no other member of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya ever came to this country to spread the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhupada came. We all heard the stories how on the Jaladuta boat, he had 2 heart attacks. In 1967 in New York, he had another heart attack. There's a famous story from Brahmananda and Gargamuni that Prabhupada was admitted to a hospital, and Prabhupada at some point told Brahmana and Gargamuni, take me out of here, I'm ready to go. And all the doctors at the hospital objected, oh, no, you're not ready to go, you can't go. And Prabhupada says, yes, I'm ready to go, I feel okay now. So Brahmana and Gargamuni, they hired a car, they got a wheeling chair, they just wheeled him right out. And the doctors objected, the nurses objected. And Prabhupada says, that's okay, we're going here. And Prabhupada sent a few weeks in a place called Long Branch, New Jersey, in a private rented house there. So this is the power of the pure devotee. He has the direct protection of Krishna, always. The pure devotee is under the direct supervision of Krishna. I told the interesting story how one devotee in Calcutta asked Srila Prabhupada, the spiritual master, when he closes his eyes, what does he see? And Prabhupada chastised the devotee, pointed his finger at him and says, that question you do not need to ask. And then the devotee asked, but Prabhupada, the pure devotee, when he closes his eyes, what does he see? And Prabhupada said, yes, the pure devotee, when he closes his eyes, he sees the pastimes of Radha Krishna manifested in his heart 24 hours a day. This is the exalted position of the pure devotee, the ambassador from the spiritual world. His divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, current acharya of the Krishna consciousness movement. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Glorious to Srila Prabhupada. And it's so true, Raghunath Bhatta Das, that Prabhupada demonstrated his success by his results, because you can judge an action by its results. And he was successful in not only preaching to the world the message of Lord Chaitanya, but he came back to Mayapur Dham and demonstrated it to his so-called God brothers, but they did not accept. They did not recognize his success, despite the fact that he showed it at the Mayapur festivals. You could see that wonderful picture of all the devotees. I think Achyutananda was at the front of it. I can remember when we went out, we came out of the compound, and you made a right. We were going up to Lord Chaitanya's birthplace. And on the way up, there were hundreds and hundreds of devotees chanting Harinam. I think it was 1973 or 74, Prabhu, Yashodanandana Prabhu, that happened. And I'm in the picture, but you can't see me. I'm just another speck in the universe there. But at least I was there. I remember the photo. And everybody was blissful. Now, what was the reason that Prabhupada did that? Well, he did it to show his godbrothers that this movement was spreading all around the world with people from all different societies, different nationalities, Chinese and Filipinos and Europeans and Russians. Back then, there was only a few Russian devotees. There had been a devotee, Ananda Shanti, who I happened to meet, Yashodanandana, before he died, before he passed away, on the phone through a connection of a Russian devotee who's been staying with me, Abhimanyu. And he knew all these people, and he connected me with Ananta Shanti. And it was great to speak to him because he was the first Prabhupada disciple in Russia. If you remember, Prabhupada went to Russia. He was only there for a weekend. And during that time, he met Ananda Shanti, and he gave him an initiation right away. And eventually, the mission spread rapidly throughout Russia. So this was Prabhupada's potency. Judge an action by its results. And what happened was, in 1974, we were in Mayapur Dham, a group of our devotees from Toronto and other temples. And if you remember, back then, Yashodanandana, they built a wall with rooms in it. Now, these rooms were just hard cement floors. There were no bathrooms, so it was just like a stall. If you remember Raghunath Bhatta, it was just a stall. You stayed in it. And I think 10 of us were staying in one room. So at night, all we did was roll out the sleeping bags and take rest, get up in the morning and use the facilities, whatever they were. I think they had latrines back then. for some time. There was no running water. It was very basic accommodation. No one minded. It was blissful. And what we did was we invited Krishna Das Baba. We had gone to Sridhar Swami's ashram, if you recall. Prabhupada got oh, look at that. It's a beautiful picture. We had got an invitation to attend Sridhar Swami's ashram, and Prabhupada approved it through Bhavananda. And I can still remember getting on the boat. They had those poles, and they were navigating up the Ganges River to Sridhar Swami's ashram. It was, you think about it, I was from Hamilton, Ontario, Nowheresville, and then I'm on this boat. Somehow or other, I ended up in India by Krishna's arrangement and Prabhupada's blessing. And I'm heading, I still remember that vividly as well. Jeez, I thought, how the heck did I arrive at this place? Some guy from Hamilton, Steel City, Hamilton, and there I am in India with robes riding up the river to this ashram. When we got there, and we met Sridhar, there was a bhajan, a kirtan leader there, Krishna Das Babaji, and he was renowned in the Gaudiya Math as one of their leading kirtan players. And I have a recording here at the house of it on cassette. And I think it's somewhat available, but nonetheless, he came over to our room in Mayapur. We invited him over in 74, and he came to our room, and we invited him in. There were people there. There was Nandi. There was Nandi Keshwar from Montreal. There was Uddhama Sloka. He had a cassette recorder, and he was the guy that recorded it. And we had this 2.5-hour kirtan with Krishna Das Babaji in his room, in our room. It was my room, actually, sort of my room. I was temporarily using it. And it was quite ecstatic, needless to say. It was very, and it's recorded. We were young men and super enthusiastic for chanting, and he was, being a musician at the time, we were flattered with his mridanga playing and his singing. He had an awesome voice. My God, it was so transcendental. So we chanted, like when you hear the kirtan, it's like super intense, focused chanting in Mayapur Dham, at the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, and we're having this kirtan. You can imagine how much we felt this connection. Absolutely. This was mercy, huh? To see Prabhupada's movement manifested in all of us. The dancing white elephants. That's what the nickname we got. Dancing white elephants. And Prabhupada was glorified for that. He said, you've created all these miracles. Well, one of them was all these other people from around the world, all of a sudden, taking up the chanting of Hare Krishna like mad elephants, like going crazy. And it was ecstatic. It really was. And Prabhupada was there blessing us all. And at the end of the kirtan, it's on the recording, I spoke to Krishna Das Babaji, and he really didn't understand anything I was saying, but he smiled. Oh. But all I said was this: see, Prabhupada has spread this movement all over the world, and I repeated 3 times to him. He's brought the message of Lord Chaitanya to the whole world, and this is the proof that he is the bona fide representative of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After that, the Gaudiya Math came, later in some years later. And they started to work off this success and set up their own groups. And they've got all these different groups, all as a byproduct of Prabhupada's preaching success. They didn't come and start anything. They came and took advantage of this situation, especially with all the confusion that entered the society after Prabhupada's departure, and these bogus gurus that claim to be elected gurus, and in fact were not gurus, but pretending, posturing, and posing as gurus, and it created havoc. Oh yeah, and many of our sincere God brothers and God sisters went to the Gaudiya Math and took shelter of them, thinking that this was a good thing. It's a big mistake. Lots of stories about that, by the way. We won't touch on them today. But the point is this, that Prabhupada's success was there in the results that he produced. Words are cheap, Raghunath Bhatta. You know that. You could talk. You could say anything. And by the way, just another side note. In 1976, I was in Mayapur, and Prabhupada was coming up the walkway from the gates, from the morning walk. You know, he'd come up through the main gates. And I was just standing in the line like another of the devotees. And he walked right up to me in the line, and he asked me, could you please come up to my room tonight and meet me? And he wanted me to explain how we purchased the Toronto temple, which he called the topmost triumph for Krishna. So I went up to the room in the evening. I can still remember actually getting prepared, showering, putting on my tilak, trying to be, first class in front of my guru. And when I got to the room, guess who was there? Krishna Das Babaji was in the room. Oh yeah. And Prabhupada went on a question and answer session with me, asking me all the questions around the purchase of the temple. And then he translated them into Bengali for Krishna Das Babaji, who sat in the room with us. So it was the three of us, transcendentally, myself, just a visitor really, and blessed with this opportunity to spend a half hour or so with my spiritual master and describe the pastimes of his success in Canada, specifically in Toronto, with the purchase of this amazing temple that is now worth like $40 million and is used as a wedding event center for Hindus. So that's too bad, eh? Sad. But it tells the story, doesn't it? That Prabhupada had told us, use the center as a preaching center to spread Krishna consciousness throughout that area. And what happened? It becomes a wedding center, event center for people that are faking it as gurus and going around and soliciting new people around the world and doing nothing. As Bhakti Marg Swami does nothing to maintain the Toronto temple except make money to try to have facilities so he can travel and fly and make people in Trinidad, in Africa, in places that he has no idea what he's doing, but that's what he's doing. And that is the bogus guru situation. Not glorifying Prabhupada, not protecting the legacy, destroying it. And that's what's happened with the production of the Leelamrita by Steve. And I sent a very interesting clip to Yashodanandana Prabhu. I didn't bother posting it on Prabhupada Disciples Facebook group page, of which we have 22,800 members. We started that 3 years ago. But I didn't post it because it's Satsrup admitting himself to his fall downs as a sannyasi guru with a woman back in 1978, 79, admitting it. While he's writing these books, he's admitting that he, as a sannyasi so-called guru, is falling down in illicit sex with another man's wife, and in this way, completely exposing the fact that these people were not bona fide. Not only him, all of the people that are part of that conspiracy to commit fraud. And that's what it is. It's a fraud and it's a tragedy. And we're not going to talk about that, but we're going to go through this not authorized biography of Srila Prabhupada now. And it's going to point out with Yashoda and his team that are producing this book that we're going to print and publish and make available to other people, is going to show how he misunderstood Prabhupada's position as a pure devotee and then propagated it in a falsity in this way to minimize his position and for them, these new people, to maximize their position. Kill guru, become guru, that's their business. Yashoda Nandana Prabhu, please, if you could carry on.
For one thing, we've already, in the last several weeks or last 2 months, we've already gone through the entire Lilamrita review. We're not going to start this immediately again. What we're going to be doing is reading a few select passages from an article called Time, Place, and Circumstances, which deals with a very important topic, where some people say that what Prabhupada has done with Ritvik initiation is not in the tradition. It's unprecedented. And this collection of quotes from Srila Prabhupada explains exactly what are the facts with regards to Prabhupada's position and his preaching efforts. Now, Ram Raghav, I don't know if you, or Rupa Goswami, I don't know if you can display. Oh, here we go. This first quote is from a lecture from Srila Prabhupada in Mayapur, India, on February 19th, 1976. Srila Prabhupada explains, the Vaishnava Acharyas, just like our Ramanuja Acharya, Madhvacharya Nimbarka, and Vishnu Swami, they're all of the same movement. Aradhyo Bhagavan Brajesha Tanaya Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. That is their conclusion. There is no different conclusion. Although they have got varieties of methods, Shuddha Dvaita, Dvaita Dvaita, Vishishta Dvaita, like that, they present the same philosophy in clear way. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu presented the same philosophy in clear way. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the same philosophy that Achintya Beda Abeda, that is Acharya. Acharya gives some way for simple understanding, the same conclusion. But according to the time, circumstances, they give a very easy method to understand. That is Acharya. Acharya is following strictly the previous Acharya, but according to the circumstances, he may make little changes. That is, that change is not change from the original idea. No. The empowered Vaishnava Acharya, such as Srila Prabhupada, is fully endowed with the ability to establish the principles of religion or Bhagavad Dharma according to time, place, and circumstance. Yet in this process, the empowered Acharya always keeps the essence of Vaishnavism. Neophytes and inexperienced persons sometimes level criticisms and find fault with some of the apparent and novel methods used by the empowered Acharya to bring people to the platform of Krishna consciousness. However, we have seen that the essence of the teachings is actually followed. Prabhupada explains. This quote is from the same lecture from Sri Prabhupada on October 8, 1974 on Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada explained, Vaishnava who is preaching, it may be in a different way according to time, place, and the party. They have to change something, but we have to see the essence. Why is the fully realized pure devotee Acharya empowered? There are virtually unlimited reasons, but hereby we present a few to help us understand how the pure devotee Acharya acts, we're referring to Prabhupada here, and why he can adjust the formalities according to time, place, and circumstances. First major point, The empowered acharya or pure devotee is in direct contact with Lord Krishna. This quote is from a lecture from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 20, text number 25. A pure devotee always engages in the service of the Lord, taking shelter of his lotus feet, and therefore has a direct connection with these saffron mercy particles that are strewn over the lotus feet of the Lord. Although when a pure devotee speaks, the articulation of his voice may resemble the sound of this material sky, because the voice touches the particles of saffron dust on the lotus feet of the Lord, the voice is spiritually very powerful. Back to you in the studio, Vishwakarma. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yes, the transcendental potency of the pure devotee is reflected in his books. And I'm reading, again, as Mother Rochisha knows, through the Krishna book, and just focusing on the different pastimes that are in these books of the transcendental world that Prabhupada is revealing in the description between Krishna and his devotees, and the killing of various demons like Denkashura, Putana witch, Kali a serpent, all these interesting pastimes which take us into another realm of spiritual understanding beyond the impersonal aspect, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, beyond Brahmeti, the energy of the Lord. There is the personality of God, which is a great privilege for us to be able to hear about in this human form of life by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. It's very important for us to understand that the association of a pure devotee is very rare. Don't think that this is just something that just happens by chance, or it's a plan by Krishna to reclaim the
Hare Krishna.
conditioned souls, and yes, Prabhu, to reclaim the conditioned souls that are wandering in the universe, and those who have specifically landed in this planet at this time and place. So it's an opportunity. Opportunity is a great thing. And you can take advantage of opportunity by preparation. Yes, you have to see the value in the opportunity, and then you have to practice the instructions given by the spiritual master. And in this way, you can elevate yourself out of the animal platform of existence, which we're all in our new guide to self-realization. The complete guide to self-realization, there's one chapter that we're working on, which is the 4 regulative principles. Yeah. Now, why are we putting it in? Because most people that read these books, they are animals, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And unless one can rise above this platform of mundanity, of animal activity, they can't appreciate the transcendental nature of this literature and these teachings of Srila Prabhupada. So you have to become somewhat disciplined. No intoxication, no meat eating, no gambling, and no licitious sex. So by doing that, you've got an opportunity to purify yourself and be receptive to the truth. Receptivity. Don't preach to people that don't want to hear from you, by the way. Don't preach to people that are going to offend your face, right to your face, when you tell them the truth. Don't do that. It's a waste of time. Just know how to qualify people. And another point that I wanted to make before we move forward is you go and try to preach to people in the ISKCON cults. Go ahead and try it and see what they do to you. And make sure you're being cautious not to be attacked by them or injured by them because they've got some distorted understanding of what blasphemy is. They're blasphemous, but they're looking at you. You're blasphemous. And they have no respect. Why? Because they have no etiquette. None. And why? Let's connect the dots. Because they have no training. Why? Because their guru is bogus. And they're pretending, posing, and posturing to be Uttama Adhikari when they're nothing better than cheaters. The society of cheaters and the cheated. Well, Vishva, that's to the point, isn't it? Well, if you don't like it, call me up. 289-244-4315. Let's talk about it. And let's move forward further with the discussion. And who do we have on the... We have our friend. I always go to our friend in Dallas, Texas, Dharma Bhavana. You know, a very sincere devotee. Has been serving for... How many years you've been a devotee, Prabhu, Dharma Bhavana?
Since 72.
72, same year as... Well, I think I'm 1 year. I got initiated in 71, so I joined... I joined in 71 in January. I was officially joined. I was hanging around the temple in 1970, and I first got exposed in 1969 in New York. And the first person that preached to me was Jayadvaita. His name was J. Israel. Can you imagine that guy preaching to me? I'd love to preach him. Go ahead, Dharma Bhavana.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question and also read from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ancha-lila, chapter 3, text 52.
Yeah.
Chapter 3, Ancha-lila, text 52. But I had a question. Like, say, for example, someone is opening up a new center, a new property in Europe or America, and they're Prabhupada Nugas. They want to be Prabhupada Nuga devotees and emphasize Prabhupada's presence and powers and ability and become the Prabhupada disciples. And they want to have a lot of books in quantity for distribution. And maybe 7-8 years ago, we could buy hundreds and thousands of original Krishna books and buy the Gita as it is. But now it seems like it's a little bit different. And what if some of the devotees in this center want to order the edited books because they can get them at a lower price and in a big quantity? And I'm just wondering how strict should somebody be under these kind of circumstances, because that kind of situation is developing here.
That's a complicated question, really, if you think about it. I'll give a quick answer for what it's worth. You know, I have Gitas here at the house. I have about 60. And I had about 120. I have 4 or 5 cases of the yellow Gitas. So what I did was, and it caused a bit of a sensation online, I went out and bought a fireplace type thing for my backyard. And I took the books, I clipped out all the pictures. Here, I'll show you. See that? These are all the pictures that were in the book. So I took the pictures out because, pictures weren't edited, but the books have been edited. There's so many thousands of changes in them. And it was done by J. Israel. And I thought, do I want to give these people books that are produced by an offensive godbrother of ours? Or do I want to distribute the original Gitas, which we have a lot. And by the way, take a look at this. I think I've showed you guys this. This is the one produced by Abhimanyu in Russia. This particular book, I'll just show you the cover. I'll show you the cover. They were very specific in the details of the production of this Gita. He did 1,200 of them in Russia. He brought 4 with him. They're still in Russia. And he gave me one as a present because he's staying here at the house. Just take a look. Now, I especially like, look at the cover. Look at this cover. And it's very authentic. It's beautiful, actually. As you know, I have a whole collection of Gitas. I have my original softbound Gita when I was in Toronto at the temple, which I've saved. And I had it recovered. But this is the Gita that, would you rather give this to somebody or a yellow Gita? Well, the answer is don't give them that yellow Gita. I burned mine in the backyard. I took them and burned them. And then I took a picture of it and I put it up on PDA just to show people. That's what I think of those books by J.A. Israel. They're offensive and they're not useful. And as far as other books, this and that, we'll figure out what to do. I would suggest you get that person, if there is someone. I'm working with a lady, Govinda Dasi, right now. She's selling a property, and some people are trying to set up a Prabhupada center and this and that. And I'm handling the business affairs for her because of my extensive experience in real estate. So she got a hold of me and said, well, I'm helping her. Yeah. But at the same time, what is the hope of these people to get anything going? It's very, very hard. So if there is obscurely someone that's interested and wants to get something going, okay, maybe they can consult with us and we'll work with them and we'll try to figure out a way how to do it. But right now it's just a dream. And Yashodanandana, maybe you'd like to answer further. Go ahead.
Hold on.
Yeah, we can hear you. Thanks.
This has been a big, major problem in the movement. Right now in India, there is ongoing litigation from the BBTI, the usual suspects, suing the KBI and numerous other devotees over this issue of publishing Prabhupada's books without their so-called permission. This has become an issue of contention. It was an issue of contention for many years. The problem is that it has basically caused problem with devotees who want to distribute Prabhupada's original first edition books. Because what has happened is that many devotees in America are asking the same question: where can we get original books? And the original stock is diminishing and in many cases no longer available. So until that litigation is settled completely, and you know, in India, things can take time, as seen with the Bangalore litigation, again, with the usual suspects, the GBC and ISKCON Bombay, took 25 years to settle their litigation. So we don't know how long this is going to take. So this is a problem for which we personally have no solution. Hopefully that this will get resolved. And I do know that there are many devotees, some devotees, who in the past have gone ahead and printed limited editions, small runs of Prabhupada's books, and just went out and distributed them. We're not saying that this is what they should do or not do or may do. That's, people can figure out what they want to do. But this is a major problem. And I personally don't have the solution. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I wanted to mention Yashoda too, Prabhu. I got this email from, or a chat from our godbrother Shiv Narayan in Japan. And what's happened, not only there, but also in India, from various sources of devotees that are communicating with us, that a lot of the books have been translated in these various languages from the changed books. So it's like, and they're also changed further. So the distortion is quite extensive of what the truth is according to Prabhupada's teachings and what people in various languages are getting as a result of these bogus gurus and their programs. So it is really a big problem, let's put it that way. And for us to unravel it and solve it, look at this. The Japanese version in some parts are Mayavadi clearly. That's from Sri Narayan. And look what Amber wrote. It's a big disservice. So that's the point. And here, Bhakti and Amber, who is going to be initiated in our next fire sacrifice, by the way, and given a spiritual name. And she said this is the most exciting thing that's happened to her in her life. And that's true. It's the same for all of us Prabhupada disciples. Bona fide religious traditions usually consider it beyond offensive to change the teachings. In Islam, you need to learn the Quran in the original Arabic. There are translations because you need to be practical, but the idea is you need to read the Quran in the original Arabic as soon as possible. So we're seeing that this adulteration of Prabhupada's books is extensive globally, and this is going on as a result of the fraudulent BBT and the fraudulent gurus that manage it. And they are going to be karmically held responsible for this at their time of death. It's not a small thing. So things to think about, everyone, and see the information that we are collecting as a global organization from people far and wide on the reality of what this diversion is by these false gurus. Nilesh Dalla, is that him? Is he in a car somewhere? Must be. Do you want to say something, Prabhu? There's
Go
still
ahead,
some
Prabhu.
books on. There's still
Hare
some
Krishna.
books on KrishnaStory.com. You can get some.
Yeah,
Right?
Hare Krishna.
What-
Yes. It is not as difficult as it's portrayed over here. You can go to KrishnaStore.com. You can get the 1972 Macmillan edition in wholesale. So there is a section, if you go into the menu on the website, KrishnaStore.com. I have gone to their, their outlet, which is in North Carolina, very close to Prabhupada Village. And they have this whole huge,
Warehouse.
warehouse over there. And from the warehouse, they ship it out. So if you go onto their website and you click on wholesale, you can get in dozens, 12, 20 Bhagavad Gitas. And that's how I order it. And you can get your 1972 original Macmillan edition. So you can get that. And I very much agree with you, Prabhuji, is that what do you expect from the followers of the fake gurus who have not followed Srila Prabhupada's instructions, who have thrown away disciples of Srila Prabhupada who want to follow only Srila Prabhupada? So they are going to do the same thing. They have resorted to that kind of problems, and their disciples are going to do the same thing, because this is what you learn if you become what your spiritual master is. So be very careful of who you make your spiritual master, and then proceed from there. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, that brings up another point that I wanted to provide for the group today from a devotee, a senior devotee that's going around to the ISKCON centers for some kind of preaching to revive Prabhupada's memories for other new people. But she made an observation that was this, and think about it, Nilesh. She observed that most of the people that she's met in the past have all blooped now that she's there in the current time. So there is no consistency, stability in the people they bring into the movement. These people come, they take part in their activities that they're given, and then eventually there's no taste, and they leave. So there is no stability with these people that they're cultivating. And the movement is fallen apart because of it. Because they're not preaching the proper philosophy that Prabhupada is existing in sound, and he is present in his Vani incarnation, and that we can take shelter of him. And the people that want to be initiated, that want to come forward with initiation, if they properly hear the philosophy from the bona fide disciples in our association, then they can qualify themselves to go to take up the process without sectarianism. That's it. Without narcissism, individuality, as a group that's propagating this mission to protect his legacy in an organized fashion. We're not some bunch of amateurs. We don't have a lot of facility, but we're gradually developing with the help of all of you. Yashodanandana Prabhu, if you could further explain.
Well, this was a very good point you raised, as well as Neil Shyama Prabhu. First of all, some books are available, but many books have gone out of print or availability. That's a sad point. We hope to remedy that. We hope that this situation will be remedied in the future, hopefully near future. Now, one point I wanted to address is a posting that Bhaktin Ember put on the chat. She mentions that the bona fide religious traditions usually consider it beyond offensive to change the teachings. And I've made that point many times. The two oldest Vaishnava Sampradayas in India, the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, sometimes called the Ramanuja Sampradaya, and the Madhva Sampradaya, most of their writings are in Sanskrit or Kannada, which is the language in Karnataka. And they've never had in their 1,000 year or 850 year histories, respectively, anybody tried to change the writings of their gurus, especially the founder Acharya, Ramanuja and Madhva. It's inconceivable that somebody would do that. Now, somebody may say, well, we have a different situation because Prabhupada was writing in English and there were some typing mistakes in the original Bhagavatam, and Prabhupada requested that his books be edited. Okay, that's a fair point, but not that it goes on perpetually like what's been done. Now, it's important to understand something here. Prabhupada in the beginning authorized Hayagriva to edit the Bhagavad Gita, to edit the Srimad Bhagavatam. After that, he didn't want perpetual re-editing of his books. Now it's claimed that another editor had some kind of permission from Prabhupada to do whatever he wanted. And I say, well, whatever permission Prabhupada gave him, that's nice. But we have to look at the last statement that Srila Prabhupada made in June 22nd, 1977 in Vrindavan in his garden. It's called the Rascal Editor's Conversation. Now, what's interesting in that conversation, when it was brought to Prabhupada's attention that the original books had been re-edited during his manifested presence, he was not happy. What did he say? He says the next printing again should be the original way. But some people don't like that. They go back to 1976 and say, but Prabhupada said such and such about this devotee, that devotee. Now, we don't want to castigate anybody or insult anybody or trying to tarnish anybody's service during Prabhupada's time. But when Prabhupada gives a definite last instruction not to change his books, that prevails over anything before. That's not difficult to understand. It's not complicated to understand. What did Prabhupada mean when he said the books again should be returned the original way? That means the first edition. Now, I'm perfectly fine because Prabhupada wanted proper indexes. Prabhupada wanted proper Sanskrit list of verses. Prabhupada wanted the Sanskrit diacritics, all of these things, glossary. That's not an issue. But this perpetual re-editing, this is nonsense. Prabhupada wanted to stop to it. And we know that the books that were changed and re-edited during Prabhupada's lifetime were never returned back to the original way. That is the first thing that should be done. Most devotees don't even know the history. This is very important because sometimes there's the misconception, oh, the books, the pre-1978 books are okay. No, they're not. Not all pre-1978 books are okay. There were many changes that were done pre-1978 that should be returned back to the first original edition. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hare
Well,
Krishna.
the point is, Yashoda, too, that if you have law, you worked in the law field, the law is how everyone has to follow the rules of law. So the rules of maintaining the authenticity of the books of Srila Prabhupada is a law. It's a law. You don't, and Prabhupada set the law that way. So someone could say, now think about it, Nilesh. We bring up the correct understanding of the law based on Shastra. Follow me. That the Shastra, the letters, the books, the lectures that Srila Prabhupada delivered to us are the laws of how to live as a devotee, as a Vaishnava. We didn't make it up. We're repeating it to everyone. And then someone will say to me, some people say, well, you bring this subject up all the time. Well, if people are breaking the law, what are we supposed to do? Not say anything? Oh, don't say anything. You're repeating. Because people do not study Prabhupada's instructions, and they break the law in ignorance. And this destroys the credibility of the disciplic succession. Is it fault finding? We constantly bring this up. Well, how come you constantly bring this up? We're not fault finding, we're fact finding the truth. And you should rejoice at being able to hear it. If you don't rejoice at it, it's because you're party to it. You're compromised. That's your problem. You are a compromised person, and you're living a compromised life. And you're entitled to do that. Go ahead. We don't mind. But if you don't want to hear it, don't come here. Don't, because it's probably going to offend you. Because you're thinking, oh, my guru isn't that bad. Yes, he is. In fact, he's demoniac because he is deviating from Prabhupada's instructions, and you don't know it because he doesn't teach it to you. He covers it up. It's called cover up. Have you ever heard of that? Cover up. Lies, cover up, cheating. And this goes on in the name of religion, and it goes not only in this group, but in all groups. Cover up is there, whether it's Christians or Muslims or Jews or whatever. This type of problem is there. So fact-finding over fault-finding, and all glories to Srila Prabhupada, and thank you very much. We've added some new programs into our sessions. And you'll see at the beginning of the classes, we're starting to present a japa class. And Ram Raghava's bringing this innovation for us, and I thank him for that. Very good ideas. It's fun. He mentioned, he started to do it, and I started to watch the shows, being the director of the program, and I'm going, this is good. It's more Prabhupada for all of us. And we're now we've started this japa you showed at the beginning of the class. Pretty good improvement. I love it. And then we're going to be showing a brief lecture at the end of the program today. So we're going to, what we'll do is do the kirtan with Prabhupada. And then after that, there'll be the closing remarks by Yashodanandana and his thank yous. And then after that, we're going to do the credits. Now, we put up the credits, and there are different quotes along with the credits. It's quite potent. We're going to be fixing that. There's some changes that have to be done. And Shiv Narayan in Japan is going to help me. I haven't got to it yet, but it'll eventually manifest at the end of the show. And then after that, then we're going to add in some more Prabhupada nectar, and the show will carry on. Now, you can drop out when you want. That's all right. You know, you have a right to come and go as you want. That's your independent free will. But look at that. The japa is very good in the beginning of the class. Excellent. It's really fantastic. And we're going to add a lecture at the end of Srila Prabhupada, a brief lecture, 7 or 8 minutes. So if you hang around, you can keep continually watching the show, even though it's over time. It's our time, and you're free to use your time to absorb yourself in Krishna Katha. And that's really how this is unfolding. This is a preamble to our 24-hour live streaming TV show, which will be specifically for Prabhupada in the future, as our technology and our funding and our facilities and our group become agile in producing this. You know, it's not something you just push a button and all of a sudden it works out. It takes years, evolution. Inspired by Krishna and Prabhupada, yes, and judge in action by its results. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and the Sankirtan movement that's being propagated by the Prabhupada Disciples Association, its membership, and the Hare Krishna Society. We'll move to the Kirtan. Haribol.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama
let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaham. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer respectful obeisances unto all the assembled Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone just like desire trees and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Thanks everybody for participating in this reading and discussion. Thanks Vishwakarma Prabhu in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, Vijay Pandit in Italy, Rochisa Mataji in Quebec, Canada, Rupa Goswami in Mumbai, India, Krishna Katha with a beautiful display of the original Bhagavatam in San Diego, California, Forest Temple with the beautiful Prabhupada hat. They look very nice. In Baja California, Mexico, Bhakti Ember from Texas, Bhakti Roy from wherever you are, Prabhu. Always good to see you. Michael Dillon in Yuba City, California. Shiv Narayan Prabhu and his Japanese wife in Japan, India. Bhakta Vinay Prabhu in South India. Triloka Vijay in Alachua, Florida, and everybody participating. Not to forget our good friend Ram Raghava in Georgia, wherever he is. Kanta Prabhu in Trinidad, and everybody participating. Bhaktin Veronica in Italy. Thank you so much for participating. Please stay with us for a few minutes for a beautiful kirtan of some Jamaican Vaishnavas, and we will have a subsequent little program after that. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vandeham Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam. Now, if you study the whole world at the present moment, they do not believe in the soul. They do not believe in the transmigration of the soul from one body to another. Even big professors, big learned scholars, they do not believe it. Therefore, you can understand that what is the present population of the world? All restless. All restless. They cannot understand the simple truth. And they're passing on great scholars, great scientists, great politicians, and so on, but all of them rascals. This is the conclusion. Krishna says, Dhīrā Sattvanam, this transmigration of the soul from one body to another. Krishna says, Dhīrā Sattvanam Yati. And here also the same thing. Priyanti Jagamana Dhīrā Sarvabhavena Sadhava. The spiritual, if you do not understand what is spirit, then where is the question of spiritual life and advancement of spiritual? There is no question. This is the beginning of spiritual existence and education, that I am not this body. I am spirit soul, Aham Brahmasmi. They can understand. So if you are sincerely Krishna conscious, if we believe Krishna, we have to believe. If you believe or not believe, the words of Krishna cannot be false. That's a fact. You may be rascal if you do not believe, but those who are dhīra, they will believe. If you have love for Krishna, there is no question of love and no love. This is the fact. So one has to become, this is the ultimate goal of life, that one has to become dhīra, not like cats and dogs jumping here and there. That is not human life. That is dog life. Yasyatam buddhi punapeti dhākute sadhik kalatra disu homo yajyati Jaktirtha buddhi salilena karhichi janesu avidnesu saivati. Go on. These classes of men, Jasya, food, life is bodily concept. I am body. I am a Hindu, I am Muslim, I am Brahmin, I am Indian, I am American. And the whole world is fighting on this because they are all crazy, not dhīra. This is the modern civilization. Jasyātu buddhi kunapīti. This is a bag of bones and flesh and blood, and they are thinking that they are this body. Now where from the living force coming into this body? Because as soon as the living force is gone, the body is useless, a lump of matter. So do you think this lump of matter is living life? But they are not dhīra or rascals, they cannot understand. The word is very important. Dhīra sattanam. How the rascals will understand? Therefore our Krishna consciousness movement is to educate the rascals. That's all. Simple thing. We challenge everyone that you are rascal number one. Try to understand Krishna. This is our challenge. Come forward. We say, we challenge. You are rascal number one. You take education in Krishna consciousness and make your life perfect. This is Krishna. Nobody is dhīra. Krishna